Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.
Welcome, everybody, to the 22nd episode of the Blacks in Technology audio podcast. I'm your tech host for this evening, Greg Greenlee, owner and founder of the Blacks in Technology community site. You can check us out at www.blacksintechnology.net. You can also follow us on Twitter at Black in Technology. That's BLKINTECHNOLOGY. And you can also join our LinkedIn group under the same name, Blacks in Technology. Also, if you have any questions or any suggestions after this podcast, you can email us at contact us at blacksintechnology.net. Tonight we have our guest, Sian Morson. She is the CEO, founder of Kollective Mobile, which is a mobile development company, and she is out of Oakland, California, and we're going to talk to her about Kollective Mobile, about some of the projects that she's working on, and just her background in technology. So without further ado, I want to welcome Sian Morson to the show. Thank you, Sian, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So you're out of Oakland, California.
Mhm.
You just got back from New York, as you were telling me.
From New York.
And you're participating with a festival of New Black Imagination?
Yeah, the Festival of New Black Imagination happened on Saturday, the 15th, in Brooklyn, and it was the first of many, I hope. It was put together by curator Rob Fields, who is he's a music journalist, but I think he had a great idea just to bring different creative minds together over the course of a day and just have people share different things. And so I proposed that he let me pretty much moderate a panel on art and technology. And so he was gracious enough to let me do that. And so
okay.
I think it went really, really well, yeah.
So who was on the panel for?
The panel featured Kenyatta Chase, who is a technologist, Crystal Campbell, who is an artist working in sound and video, and Wayne Sutton, who is one of the co-founders of New Me, who I pretty much corralled into being on the panel at the very last minute. I'd seen him the night before we met up, and he came down just to find out what the festival was all about, and I thought it would be a great idea to have him join the panel since he is so entrenched in technology. And so I asked him, and he agreed, and he did great. It was fantastic.
And Wayne is everywhere.
He really,
I see
really
Wayne
is.
in everything.
I think when he left New York, he was going to Nebraska, and then after that, he was going to L.A. He definitely is everywhere. Yeah.
I've been trying to reach out to him to get him on the podcast. So I'm trying to get as many people on the West Coast who know him personally to kind of put a word in there for me, because I'm definitely trying to get him on the show.
I'd be happy to help out, but he's a very, very busy man these days.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. He's involved he was involved in the New Me Accelerator program.
Yeah, he was the co-founder along with Angela Benton, and they did a really, really great job with it. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to
the heels of that. I think on the heels of that, he is in very high demand.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Wayne, we can't pay you if you hear the podcast. I can't pay you to appear on here, so it's got to be free. So you were on a panel for art and technology. So what types of things were discussed on the panel?
Well, in addition to being involved in technology, I'm also an artist. I'm a video artist, and so it became very clear to me that technology was changing not only the way that people discover and interact with art, but the way that art is created. And so I thought it was important to sort of bring that discussion to the forefront because I'm not sure that, I mean, I could be wrong here, but I'm not really sure that artists who are of African descent who are working in new media, sort of, they're not as well known as some of the traditional artists. So I wanted to sort of give some of those artists who are working in non-traditional mediums, give them a little shine and get their names out there, but also talk about how as a community we can expose ourselves more to art that's non-traditional and just sort of get involved more in things like video and sound and hacking and in a creative sense as opposed to in a specifically technical sense. So that's okay. Yeah, that's pretty much what the panel was about.
Great. That sounds like pretty interesting. Is there going to be video footage or anything of the panel? Or?
You know, the entire festival was videotaped. All of the panels and presentations were videotaped. So I hope that at some point they'll be available online, but I'm not sure on that yet. I'm fingers crossed.
Definitely. If you hear anything about it or if you find out that those videos are posted, definitely let us know. We always like to, on the Blacks in Technology site, we're in the midst of finalizing the redesign of the site, so there'll be a section for videos, and I always like to spotlight anything that has to do with technology and African Americans, blacks in general, on the site. So if you get a wind of it, just shoot me an email. I'd definitely like to post them up there.
Absolutely, I will definitely do that.
So being an art or an artist, were you ever into? I always like to ask people because I'm a comic book enthusiast, so I collect comic books. So were you ever into comic books, or?
I think for a good 5 years there, I was pretty obsessed with the X-Men.
Oh, really?
I think that was the only comic that I ever really got super into. Yeah, this is like way before, they even thought about doing the movies. But, it was just, the whole idea of multiculturalism I thought was interesting, and just being different could be applied to so many different things, whether it's color or race, they were different. Yeah. And so I think I kind of locked into that. So that was pretty much my comic book period there. I think it's a good 4 years or so in junior high school.
I think a lot of African Americans are kind of drawn to that comic for that simple reason.
Absolutely.
I know I was. Besides the fact that they're considered mutants, so they're considered outcasts and things like that. But not only that, but the diversity within the X-Men itself. Different nationalities and things like that. It kind of drew me to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So tell us, how did you get involved in technology? What's your background in technology?
Well, I think my earliest recollection of being interested in technology came when I was in junior high school. I think I was quite fortunate in that I had a computer lab, and I even had an African American basic teacher. So,
wow.
He taught basic, and I remember begging for a Commodore VIC-20 for Christmas, and I got it, and that sort of sparked an interest in technology. And it's weird to say this, but growing up, I wasn't much of a team player. I didn't like to share. So, coding was something I could do by myself. It was something that I could just sort of sit down and figure out. And if it didn't work, I could sort of figure out why it didn't work. And I didn't need a team to do that. And so I think for better or for worse, that appealed to me. And that just started my interest in technology. I mean, eventually I went off to film school and I didn't major in computer science or anything like that, but I definitely came back around to technology. When I entered the job field, I started as a project manager at an ad agency in San Francisco, and they were doing big brand websites, and so that sort of marked my re-entry back into technology, and it's just kind of followed on from there.
Interesting. It's amazing that you had an African American teacher. That plays huge on the psyche of young people being able to see somebody in that position teaching
Absolutely.
a subject like that.
Absolutely. His name was Mr. Fuller. I won't ever forget him. So give a shout out to Mr. Fuller. Yeah, it was absolutely inspiring, definitely.
Wow. So you worked at the ad agency as a project manager. How did you always have the entrepreneurial bug in you, so to speak? That drove you to come up with or create and found Kollective Mobile?
I think it's always been there, but I think I pushed it aside for quite some time. I think that whenever you are receiving a paycheck, a pretty good paycheck, to sort of risk all of that and kind of go out on your own it's daunting and it's scary, and it's something that I thought about for a really long time, but I was like, I am not doing that. Now is not the time. You come up with all these excuses in your mind, and I will say this, though, that I started Kollective Mobile about a year ago, and I do think that was the right time. So, things happen for a reason, and they happen at the right time, and I do think that perhaps if I'd done it before, that I probably wasn't ready. So I'm glad that I waited, because I think, you learn along the way, and you learn to put all those things that you've learned to practice once you get out on your own. So.
Yeah, and there seems to be such a growth of black entrepreneurial people in tech, especially coming out of the area that you're in.
Right.
And it seems to be like, and maybe it's because, I haven't been plugged into that scene for that long, but it just seems like out of nowhere you have all, these people coming out with these apps and being really hands-on and involved in the tech world out there. So it's, you were right, and it's probably, better that it happened now as opposed to then, because now it seems like there's just more of a support system in place.
Yeah, there's a lot of support, and I mean, especially for mobile, I do really believe that now is the time. So having gone out at this time is not a bad thing. So I'm glad that I waited.
Excellent. So tell us more about what Kollective Mobile does.
Kollective Mobile is a mobile development agency here in the Bay Area. We do, very plain and simple, we do mobile development. We work with large ad agencies. We work with small businesses. We work with nonprofits, and we work with startups. So it's pretty much mobile development for hire. We are a full-service agency where we provide ideation and design as well as development. But in certain situations, for instance, with agencies specifically, they will handle all of the creative concepting and the designing, and then they will hand over their design files to us, and we are simply responsible for the build. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much the range of services that we provide.
Excellent. Now tell us, why does mobile development matter?
Well, quite simply because mobile is the future. I think that we've all kind of seen the numbers on how mobile is growing. The adoption rate for smartphones is faster than the Internet in its heyday. There are more smartphones being activated than babies being born, quite literally. So, I mean, mobile isn't going anywhere. And I think smartphones are only going to get smarter. The processors are going to get faster. And it not only how do I put this? People are also mobile. People are moving around more. And so the idea of sitting in front of a computer all of the time to handle everything is just going to be less, it's not going to happen as much, I don't think. I think that just the patterns that we're seeing in terms of how people work and where they work happens everywhere. Ideas happen everywhere. And so the idea that you have to be sitting in front of a desktop to create or to interact or to search, I think that's quickly shifting. And so it's important to keep up with that. It's important to keep up with people's busy lifestyles. And I think that's why mobile matters, because it lets people do that.
Gotcha. So when you were working for the ad agency, was that like your I guess your main department was mobile development?
Not initially. Initially, I think, as I mentioned, it was more web, because the web was popular, and ad agencies were pretty busy building big websites, microsites, and banners. And I did that for quite some time. I did that in San Francisco, and in New York, and in London. And it wasn't until I made my way back to the Bay Area, maybe about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, that I actually noticed that mobile was growing. And I was at an agency at the time, and I was doing product management, and basically thought that a mobile product would be great for our clients. And so we created a very simple mobile app, and we armed our sales force with that app to sort of gauge the interest from our clients. And the interest was through the roof. Everybody wanted a mobile app. And from that, we literally spun off a separate division, a separate piece of business that was focused only on mobile. And I was in charge of that division, hiring engineers, hiring creatives, really to meet the demand, because literally in a year, the demand for mobile products outweighed the demand for websites and all the other products that we were creating. So I kind of knew that then, things were changing a little bit. And so I just kind of took that ball and ran with it, really.
Wow. I was looking at your, on your site, and you pretty much what the site basically says that your core business is that you optimize websites for mobile use. So you for different platforms such as Android, iOS, you do BlackBerry, you do Windows, and then there were a couple that I hadn't heard of before. I'm not a developer by trade. I do more systems engineering than I do development. So there was Appcelerator and PhoneGap. And
Accelerator and PhoneGap, those are tools that literally allow you to develop once and deploy across multiple platforms.
Okay.
So we do that work, but my personal preference is to develop natively, which is to say, if we are developing an iPhone app or an iPad app, we use Xcode, we use Objective-C. If we're developing for Android, we'll use Java, as opposed to, you run into some issues using those, but sometimes there's a client that would like for us to use a PhoneGap or Accelerator, and so we have that capability as well.
Now what would be the reasoning behind them wanting to use Accelerator or PhoneGap as opposed to doing it natively?
I think that there is a cost issue involved with that, because if you develop specifically for iOS, that's not running on any other device. It's only going to run on an iPhone or an iPad. And so, you've spent time and money to develop this app, and then you have an Android market that you've not yet served, so then you have to develop a separate app for the Android market, or a separate app for BlackBerry, or a separate app for Windows Phone. So you might want to use a tool like that. Or there's an option to just go with, HTML5 as well. So there are a number of options available to the people who are considering mobile, and that's just kind of two of them, really.
Okay. You also mentioned on your site that you all follow a disciplined methodology for delivering all of our products, our projects. What methodology do you use?
Well, because I have a background in project management, I'm very, very process oriented, and whether or not you're building a website or you got a startup, you have a product, you have an app, you need to have a process. And so that's basically just what it is. The methodology is the process where, initially you discover, you consult with the client, you find out what their needs are, you refine based on their needs the product offering that you're going to offer to them, and then you build it, you get their feedback, you continue to refine that. This is all an iterative process, and then you release it, and then you continue to refine it, right? So that's all part of the process. So when I say a disciplined methodology, it's pretty much a take on a development process that we do. We adhere to.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. That's okay.
No, I was just saying. I know there's different. Aren't there different methodologies out there as far as managing a project, such as Agile, such as.
We are an Agile shop, most definitely.
Okay.
But I do believe that, whatever your methodology, whatever your process, it has to be flexible. It has to be open, because I think we all know that projects never go exactly as you plan them to go. And there are always going to be problems, and there are always going to be issues. So, I can be a taskmaster sometimes, but sometimes you just have to understand that things are never going to go exactly as you want them to. And so the process needs to be flexible enough to accommodate that as well.
Gotcha. So I was reading that you all use an intranet for projects that you allow clients to log into to follow along in the process and to keep up with updates and things like that. Am I correct in saying that, or?
Hello?
Hello? Yeah.
I think I lost you there for a second. Sorry about that.
No
I'm
problem.
sorry. What was the question?
No, I was reading on your site. You were there was something on your site about that I guess each one of your clients has like dedicated space on your internet for projects.
Yeah.
They can follow along. What exactly is this? Something that you all designed, or are you using?
No, it's not something that we're just pretty much using a turnkey program that allows clients to log in, see where we are in the process of developing the product, get a status on development, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Great. And also, can you tell us a little bit about CAMS? Is that how it's pronounced? KAMS?
KAMS is a Collective Apps Management System, and so we have created a suite of applications for the art industry. We have an art gallery app, we have an artist app, and we have an art dealer app. Currently working on an art fair app as well. And basically, CAMS is a content management system, and that is something that we've created. And so that allows gallery owners or artists who have an app to actually change the content in the app without having to resubmit it to the App Store.
Nice.
So they can upload images, they can change the information associated with that images, they can change the artist out. As inventory changes, then they have the ability to go in and change the content in the app to reflect that. So if something has sold, it's simply a matter of logging in to their account and changing the status of that piece from available to sold.
Now, what is that built on? What languages are you using to power that?
That is built on PHP.
Okay, so are you guys mostly a PHP shop, or?
When we do web, it's either PHP or Ruby on Rails. And to date, it's been more PHP than Rails, to be honest.
Oh, excellent. So what made you all decide to build a content management system as opposed to like maybe just using something that's already out there? Was it a thing of functionality that you all needed, or?
Well, it was just something that I came across in my conversations with gallery owners and artists. They thought it would give them a great deal of flexibility to be able to do that as opposed to having to, if you're creating a native app, and part of it is that this is an iPad-specific application, and so I do think that the iPad is great for showing art. But again, if you want to change something in your app, and you have to go through the entire submission process at the App Store again, and some people find that to be a bit laborious, and so it just really came out of conversations with people in the field who thought that it would be a great feature for them to use. So at this time, we're still refining it and adding features and functionality to the actual app and to the CMS, and I hope to actually do a big launch fairly soon on all of the apps as well as CAMs.
Okay. So is that going to be something that anyone can use, or is it going to be exclusive to Kollective Mobile members or clients, I should say?
Yeah, it will be specific to Kollective Mobile clients.
Okay, gotcha. So, are you? What's some of the clients that you work with? Are you able to name? Kind of drop names here.
I can't name any of the agencies,
gotcha.
but because it's a very hairy situation in that some of their clients don't know that we do the work, so I wouldn't want to sort of
gotcha.
jeopardize their relationships with their clients. But in terms of nonprofits, we've worked with Youth Radio here in Oakland and helped them in developing a streaming app which sort of showcases their radio station. Let's see, what else do we have here? We recently finished up an app called Loco Chat. I don't know if that's on the site or not, but that is a location-based chat application for a startup that's actually here in Oakland. They're kind of looking around for funding, so that was actually a really fun project for us to do, something different, something really exciting. So we're glad to do that as well. And at the moment, we're talking with a company about doing a really exciting and popular game. I think that's all I'm allowed to say about it. I just came from a meeting today, but
gotcha.
It should be pretty cool. We are actually as well working with the Fountain Art Fair on developing their app too. So that's something that's in progress, but something that we're really excited about as well.
Wow, you guys sounds like you all are pretty busy. How many? Go ahead.
We're getting busy. We're getting busier, I have to say. It got, again, we've only been doing it about a year, and I think through word of mouth and recommendations, we've been very fortunate, and things are really, really busy at the moment. Yeah.
Wow. So, are you involved in any of the coding work or anything like that now, or do you just pretty much, oversee the business now at this point?
I try to. I have a very loose understanding of Objective-C and Android, but in terms of the actual coding and development, I don't really involve myself in that. I help out with all of the QA. I do most of the project management. I do all of the product management. I do some of the ideation and usability and wireframing as well. But I'm really trying to focus more on the business end of things these days, and really trying to bring in people who could help with the day-to-day. It is really getting to be a lot as of late. So one thing you quickly learn is that you really can't do everything. So it's important to know. Yeah, it's important to know when to sort of step back. And so I think I'm at that point where I'm starting to assess, okay, what do I need help with here? So.
Yeah. Wow, this sounds like you are really doing well with the business. Congratulations on that. It's definitely.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's always
nice to see. Oh yeah, it's always nice to see and hear about African American entrepreneurs, especially in technology. Kind of paving the way, and even if you don't look at it in that perspective, I mean, that's pretty much what we're doing is kind of paving the way and setting forth something for future generations to kind of look at and say, hey, this is something that we can definitely do. These people have done it, and I always like seeing that. It's one of the main reasons kind of why I started Blacks in Technology site was to create that I guess that face that young people could look at and they can actually see other people that look like them, talk like them, walk like them in the technology field and doing it. So it's definitely.
I think that one of the issues too is that maybe for some young people technology isn't cool, and so I think that's changing now. Where it actually is cool. Yeah.
I definitely see it shifting, and I don't know if it's just because I see more African Americans doing it, as opposed to maybe just even a few years ago when I would attend technology conferences all the time, and I've rarely seen black faces in the crowd, either attending or giving talks, participating, but as it seems like I'm more and more plugged in, it seems like I'm seeing more and more black techs, black entrepreneurs in tech.
Absolutely.
And the thing about it is it's from this generation, so I guess there's a little bit of a different, aura around.
Right.
The people that I'm meeting. They're more in tune with what's going on, right now. They're pretty much the hip-hop generation. That's kind of infused in their personalities as well. And so that as a whole kind of creates a bigger and better, I don't want to say stereotype, but, a bigger and better, kind of character within technology, and for black techs, and so no longer are we, at least I hope, being seen as, the geeks, quote unquote, geeks, and so yeah, definitely.
Or even embracing the term geek, right? Even saying, I'm a geek, and that's okay. I'm okay with being a geek because it's really cool to be a geek.
Yeah. I gave a talk about a year ago, and that was like one of the main, themes of my talk was, hey, I'm a geek. It's cool to be a geek. But, most people, and then when you look up the term geek, it really only means, kind of enthusiast. There's sports geeks, there's, car geeks or whatever, and this is just another aspect of the geek world. We're computer geeks. But then what I did was I showed everybody, because I spoke to it was called the Black Male Initiative. It was a local college, so it was, but I said, hey, I'm a geek. That was like my first slide, and then like the second slide was not this type of geek, and it showed the two geeks from Revenge of the Nerds, the two main nerds in the movie. But then on the next slide it said I'm this type of geek, and it showed all these black entrepreneurial tech people, and then I followed up the slide with up that slide with look at all these prominent geeks, and look who they are. And it was Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, all these, and I guess what I was trying to drive home was, everybody is, always worried about, being the next big, whatever, entertainer or whatever, or sports person, but what you fail to realize is the richest people in America are geeks.
Exactly. And I think that Steve Jobs' passing really sort of made people think, because he was the ultimate geek, but he was really cool. You know what I mean? And when you see how what he's done has, whether or not you're super into technology, you probably have an iPhone. You probably have been touched in some way by the legacy of Steve Jobs. And so I think that could potentially put it into perspective for a lot of people who may not have thought about it in that way, too.
Yeah. And that's why, I'm so happy to be in touch with, people like you, people like Curtis, Hadia, that are, the creators of the technology that, we're starting to use and starting to be involved in, because then that shows, us as creators as opposed to, consumers and users of the product. So
that was actually one of my questions on the panel, was when do we move from being consumers to creators? You know what I mean? When do we stop just sort of dictating really funny hashtags on Twitter, like your ghetto when, to actually creating something like Twitter that can be used to disseminate information worldwide? So I'm really glad that you said that.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping anyhow that it's starting to resonate a little bit more, that this industry and this field, it can be leveraged to create wealth within our community. And
absolutely,
we just have to, get off the sideline, so to speak, and get involved and quit being scared to be labeled, and I think it can definitely happen. So I always like to, invite our, the guests that I have on the podcast to be, active on Black in Technology. With the new site redesign, I'm kind of redesigning it so it's a lot, more accessible as far as some of the features on the site, and I'm just trying to create like this community of like-minded individuals, Black people, so that there is a central support system for, people of color in technology that they can go to, and if they want to, they can ask questions. They can, receive, if somebody wants to take on the task of mentoring somebody and go, going back and forth and saying, hey, this is, I actually had a couple of the members on the site. One, she's a developer out of Dallas, and kind of hooked her up with another up and coming, developer I think she's out of Dallas as well, to help her, kind of help her out with her resume and kind of help her on some things to do as far as to try to get in the door to be a programmer, and they actually started working together, via online at first, and then I think they may have, hooked up offline as well. But this is the type of thing that I didn't have coming up in technology, and a lot of Black techs that I talked to didn't have. So that was my main focus on creating the site, was, hey, there needs to be this, because in other cultures, it's almost a given that they have the support. And in our culture, it's not a given. And now it especially with, mobile technology, and there needs to be that community. It needs to be that support. So,
well, as a business owner and as someone who routinely, I'm always looking for engineers, especially as we get busier. Currently I don't have any African American engineers on my staff, and I would love nothing more than to, work with some African American engineers. So if you know anyone, or if there's anybody on the site, please send them my way. If proficient in mobile development, I would love to talk to them. And they don't necessarily. Most of my guys are here, but they don't necessarily have to be guys, and they don't necessarily have to be in the Bay Area. I would prefer that they are in the U.S. Well, so just a little pitch there.
No. I mean, anytime you want to post anything on I mean, just feel free. I mean, if it's something that that you want, that could be possibly like, some type of, headline thing on the site, or just let me know, and I'll be, more than happy to definitely try to work it in. Like I said, when I'm hoping to launch the new site redesign either this weekend or next weekend, and it'll have it'll be to where, like if I want to spotlight, something that's going on in tech, involving African Americans, it can be displayed prominently on the home page, as opposed to right now, like when I got into when I first had the idea for the site, I didn't know anything about developing sites or even using the CMS that I'm using or anything. So it was kind of pretty much, thrown together willy-nilly, and I was just like, hey, I just want to get something out there real quick. And then after, talking to people and, looking at other sites and really getting into it, I decided, like, hey, this needs to be redesigned. It needs to have, more accessibility to some of the things that we're trying to do on the site. So now it's totally redesigned and soon to be out there. And so it's going to be to where, like if I can help someone or help another site out or spotlight someone in tech or anything like that, I'll be able to do that on the site, and, it'll be displayed prominently. So just let me know, definitely.
I sure will.
So I want to ask you about an event that you all sponsor called Code for Oakland.
That was we were one of the sponsors, but there obviously were other sponsors, and what it was an opportunity for people to come together, engineers, designers, UI people, or just anybody that wanted to help. And there were a number of nonprofits there, and there were also people who just had general ideas about applications that they thought would help the community. And so people were able to stand up and pretty much pitch their idea, and, whoever wanted to go across and talk to them about it or work on that, they had the opportunity to do that over the course of a day. So, we had a couple of meetings in the weeks before, and then we got the space donated by the Kaiser Center, and they started out about 8 a.m. It was raining like crazy. We weren't sure that anybody would show up, but sure enough, quite a few people showed up, and I was actually surprised at the quality of the work that came out of that day. It was pretty amazing. It was really excellent. People came from the South Bay. People came from San Francisco. It came from pretty much everywhere, and everybody had a positive attitude. Everybody wanted to work, and everybody wanted to help, and there were some great ideas pitched. And, at the end of the day, I think there were quite a few actual working prototypes, which is great. It was fantastic. Really excited to be a part of that, and to be able to volunteer my time to go down there. And one of the group that I volunteered with, they actually created an app called Better Stop, and what it was for people who lived in communities where they were, they had to take the bus, and so basically they could text a number, text a short code, and find out when the next bus was going to come. And then when they got on the bus, the app allowed them to provide feedback as to whether or not the bus was on time, whether or not the bus was crowded. It was excellent. It was excellent, and that actually was submitted to the FCC, I think, or the Knight Foundation, they had a competition for apps for the communities, and that app was actually completed and submitted. So I think overall Code for Oakland was a great success, and we're actually talking about doing it again.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
So that was I guess the first one of its type in Oakland, or?
Yes, it was the first one of its kind that I'm aware of anyway in Oakland.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it was such a great success that we are talking about having another one.
Sounds like I need to get out to the West Coast.
I think you should come for a visit at least.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've actually mentioned that to Curtis and Hadia. I was like, you guys sound like you all are pretty tight knit bunch out there. I need to get out there and hang out with you guys for a while. So
Go ahead.
I actually have a possible opportunity for the site out that way, so it might be sooner than later. I'm crossing my fingers on that.
Well, when you come out, you need to let everybody know. I mean, I think that, like I said, the community is very small, and I think that the support within that community is really fantastic. Yeah.
Excellent. So, any other new and exciting things that you're working on, or?
Had a fairly positive meeting this afternoon. Pretty big, but I can't say a name yet until I get a sign on the dotted line. But I think that I would say just watch this space. I think that we are poised to do some pretty great things in mobile. We're just going to keep the momentum going, really.
Excellent. So go ahead and give us like your URLs, your Twitter, your Twitter handles, and all that
stuff. Okay. Well, Kollective Mobile is at collectivemobile.com. That is collective with a K, KOLLECTIVEMOBILE.com. And the agency has its own Twitter account, which is at Kollective, but without the E. So it's KOLLECTIV. And personally, I'm on Twitter as well, and my Twitter handle is at XIANAMOY. That's pretty much how to get in touch with me. If anybody's interested in getting in touch with the agency itself, we have a contact us form on the website that you could fill in and ask any questions, or if you are on my Twitter, then go ahead and send me a message or tweet me, and I'm happy to respond.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Sean, for joining us and participating in this podcast, and good luck with the future of Kollective Mobile, and good luck with anything that you do. It's great.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay, definitely. We'll definitely keep in touch, and if I happen to be able to make it out that way, I'll definitely contact you all, and maybe we can get together. And yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, have a good night.
All right. You too. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology.